Welcome to the Better Two podcast. I'm your host, Donna. Today's guest is Glenn Brigman. He is with the group Triptides, and we talk about music. We talk a little bit about what's going on in the world, his upcoming tour, and so much more. So tune in. Come Out of the Shadows is D.M. Needom's latest novella. World-famous singer Grace Fillmore catches the attention of many admirers. However, one individual will go to extreme measures to possess her. With the stalker situation intensifying, Grace's record label enlists bodyguard Dylan Roberts for her protection. As Dylan takes on the role of safeguarding Grace, she notices something she desires, but so does Dylan. Can Dylan stop the threat, or will their attraction become a distraction that jeopardizes everything? Come Out of the Shadows is available on Amazon.com. Hi, Glenn. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Just getting my day going, having a cup of coffee.
Cup coffee, cup tea, it's all good. Yeah. So
all the same parts of the different parts of the same coin there.
This is true. So you're getting ready. When do you leave for Europe? Tomorrow or the next day?
Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to Europe, and the interesting thing is I was looking over your bio and stuff. You started out in Indiana. So, and then now you're in LA, correct? You live out in Los Angeles or the Los Angeles area?
I'm in the greater LA area. I'm in the San Bernardino Mountains, which is like an hour from LA. But I was in LA for 7 years prior to that.
So when you look at all these three places, I mean, granted, you're not living in Europe, but you're going over there. I mean, Indiana and LA are major culture shock, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, I was in a cool, groovy college town in Indiana called Bloomington. And I'm from Atlanta originally, a big city, Atlanta, Georgia. So I guess Atlanta and LA have a little bit more in common than Bloomington, Indiana, and LA. But yeah, I don't know. I followed some cool people, some cool vibes to the West Coast. So that was nice.
Yeah, I lived in Indiana briefly, down in southern Indiana, near Columbus and Seymour.
That's not far from Bloomington.
No, I used to be a DJ, and the disc jockey, the studio was right outside a cornfield. So, high times, rock and roll,
Just so legit. Just amazing.
Yes. So you're going to Europe now. Is this your first time being in Europe for touring, or is this like one of many?
Several times. We started going in around 2017, and I went with Triptides then, and then I was playing drums with a band that went right after that, and then Triptides went again, and we've gone several times at this point. I don't have the exact number on hand, but it's not the first time.
I noticed that your music is very reminiscent of, I don't want to say surfer, but 60s, the coolness of the 60s, the vibe of the 60s. And the mellowness of it for the most part. And even the way your persona, I would say, in real life here, is kind of that same laid back vibe. And yes, some people will say it's a California vibe, but it's more of a time period to me. What drew you to that type of music?
I grew up listening to a lot of old music with my dad, like in the car. There was a great station in Atlanta that used to just play like, the Beach Boys and the Byrds and I Want to Hold Your Hand and all that stuff. And I think I just connected with it right away. Like, I mean, we all went through, the 2000s listening to like, Blink-182 and The Offspring or whatever. And then eventually, like, I remember hearing like Stairway to Heaven, like on a mixed CD. It was like, it was like Beastie Boys and like The Offspring and then like Stairway to Heaven or something. Some CD my brother got from a friend. And I was like, I just feel like this song's better than all the other ones, or it's like more of my vibe. And I started really getting into that time period musically. And I think that probably just gets me into that time period in a lot of ways, like culturally, and just never looked back. It just felt right to me.
Well, then I have to ask this really wild question is, maybe you are reincarnated from that time period.
I don't know. Who knows? And Brian Wilson has the I Just Wasn't Made for These Times song. And I don't know if I wasn't made for these times, but I wonder how I would have fared in that, 50, 60 years ago time period. It would have been an interesting world, that's for sure. But I appreciate all of the modern conveniences and the things that we get to enjoy here in 2025 with all of its terrible flaws. But you know.
Oh yeah.
So I can listen to like any music ever made, which is pretty cool, you know.
You don't have to go searching for a cassette or a vinyl or whatever to listen to it. You can just open up something and find it.
Yeah, I had a buddy from Indiana, one of my best friends. He's actually living in Barcelona now, but he was obsessed with Donovan when he was a kid. He's in his 60s and he just go from record shop to record shop all around Indiana to find a Donovan record if it came out, you know, and like people knew he'd walk in and be like, "Oh, we got it for you." You know, it's like, damn, you really had to like go for it back then just to hear Donovan.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I went from record shop to record shop when I first got into Rick Springfield because it's like I didn't want the normal stuff. I had heard he had the older collection, and yeah, from the early '70s, he had a cover of "Speak to the Sky."
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
so
probably had to do some digging, right?
oh yeah, especially back then, it was just kind of like, all right, let's go dig because everybody knew him as the big soap opera star and Jesse's Girl.
Of
So
course. But once you found it, you were probably really stoked, right? And you probably
yeah,
really appreciated it
I
and listened
was.
to it.
I
You know?
listened to it a few times and I was like, yeah, this is kind of, it's different. It wasn't, but it was still the holy grail that I had it. I think
Right.
the biggest find I found, and I gave it to my late friend Angela, was there was a John Travolta record.
Oh, wow.
He actually had an LP and I gave it to my friend.
Great LP, like not a
Yeah.
movie soundtrack.
Yeah, it was not the movie soundtrack. It was just him doing, all these covers and some originals. It was just like, okay, did not know this.
Wow.
But you never know what you're going to find at a
Dig into
record
that.
store.
That sounds great.
Never know what you're going to find. So you released a cover of Spooky. What
That's
made
speaking of the 60s.
Yes, yes. And I know you're opening your tour on Halloween night, so I'm sure that's going to be like a centerpiece of that
We'll
show.
see if the French care about Halloween that night, but I forget. I forget if they celebrate it over there, but either way, we're going to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, even though the thing about Spooky is you can sit there and say it's a Halloween song, or you can sit there and say, no, it's not a Halloween song. It's one of those songs that crosses this very thin line of you
It
can play it
straddles the
anytime. Yeah.
genre of holiday pop and
Yeah.
psychedelic pop or whatever.
Exactly. Exactly. You don't
I
have
think that was the impetus for covering it because we had just jammed it at shows because I'll be on the electric piano and like we'll just start jamming it for fun. And I was like, maybe we should do a legitimate cover of this because every time we started playing those chords back and forth, I would be like, oh yeah, I like this, like so it's like okay, it's already been battle tested. Everyone loves Spooky. I don't know anyone who's heard that song like, nah. That was just a great song.
well, and it's a great it had a good following when it was popular. So and you didn't do this wild arrangement to change it a lot. You did it justice.
Yeah, we just kind of made it a little heavier. Like the original doesn't, the drums are a little lighter and stuff. And, the production on ours is like a little thicker and like a little more rockin'. And so the saxophone, I did like a crazy, like psychedelic organ thing. And because I can't play the saxophone, I mean, how am I going to do that? I don't know.
Plus,
Gotta mix it up.
then you got to bring somebody else on tour to play sax, and sax
There's
can be
just the mechanics of the sax are
yeah.
just, I'm already stressed right now just talking about it. It's terrible.
You
I'm
don't
not a
love
big
strings.
sax and rock guy either. Like anytime like the E Street Band brings out the saxophone, not hugely into that, honestly.
I think sax works good on an album, but bringing it live, I've heard it live occasionally, and it doesn't always work.
Got to be really cool.
Mhm.
But like I love it in jazz. Like I love, Coltrane. I love all the great horn players, and I like even like jazz fusion. Like I don't know, but like in rock, it feels like it's like the Saturday Night Live intro sometimes a little bit. Can't do it.
So, what do you hope to gain by going over to Europe? And then when you come back, are you going to tour in the States?
Well, in Europe, I'm hoping to, reestablish our, connections to the audiences over there and let them see what we've been cooking up over here stateside and bring our new, spooky vibes over there, and all the vibes. But no, and I just love traveling over there and meeting people and also seeing old friends. We've been going over there for a while, so we've already got people saying like, you can stay with us, like can't wait to see you, and we're gonna have fun and drink German beers together, and it's all that. It's a great time. And then we are gonna come back and do some touring early 2026 over here. We've got a new booking agent and in the States, and he's put together a little run. And it's actually, I think it's going to take us down to Atlanta for some hometown action there. That'll be fun. But yeah, it'll be great. Those dates are probably going to get announced in the next month or so. So trying to stay busy and share all this new music with everybody on the road.
How do you feel releasing? I know you have an EP coming out on the 31st, but most of the songs have already been released on platforms. How do you feel about releasing singles versus putting it all together and releasing it at one time?
I'm always shifting and trying to be flexible with the way that things are released, in the current age. And I used to be a real album oriented dude, like thinking about every bit of the record, A side, B side, the flow, the sequencing, the vibe. But at this point, I'm like, let's just put out some singles. I don't know. People's attention span isn't that high for music sometimes. No offense to all these people out there with low attention spans, but like people don't have 40 minutes to sit and listen to a record sometimes. They just want to hear like a song on a playlist. And I think at some point I had to be like accepting of that and just be like, let's just put out some cool singles, and then we put out the album or the EP for the heads that really want to dive in and dig out the whole record. But I also want just the regular person on the street that hears the single to enjoy it and maybe find out about the band that way. So I think it's good to be flexible and not just be married to like, it's an album, we gotta do the album. So,
I mean, that's the one thing I will say. Growing up when I did, which was the 70s and 80s, my dad had gotten a Walkman for Christmas, and somebody gave him a copy of The Wall. And, here's a young and impressionable girl. I'm like, can I borrow this? And I had it for like 2 months. Didn't really want to give it back, but I did. Child of divorce, so this is why he couldn't just come snag it. And I remember listening to The Wall, and just the whole album is just this ride you take, and in the music, the separation in the music and the headphones, it was just this amazing experience. And I think sometimes because we don't do that album thing anymore, we lose something.
Yeah, Roger Waters could have never done The Wall now. People would have heard like bits and pieces that would have been like, I don't get it. I don't know, but that's true. I mean, I think the idea of like a concept album is really difficult because like you have to accept that people might not even listen to the whole record and miss the concept entirely. So you're not just, putting on an LP or putting a tape in a Walkman and flipping it once to hear the next part. Like people are just shuffling around. I mean, I'll be in the car with a lot of people, even musicians, and they just shuffle mix, like on a giant Spotify playlist. And if that's what they like, then I'm not going to knock it. But no. I drive around with an iPod in my car because like I said, I live in the mountains. My service is terrible, and I don't really appreciate the way streaming services are operating at this point with all of their arms dealer investments and terrible human life-taking, destructive money go around bullshit. So I like my iPod, and normally I just pick like an album and then I just play it and then it repeats. It's like a CD. It works with my car, like CD or something. And I don't know. And occasionally I'll, shuffle around if I'm on a long trip or something. But I'm an album oriented guy. I just feel like at that era, 60s and 70s, people were really thinking about it. So it seems like I respect that artist enough that I want to hear their vision and hear it out.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, you're talking about the short attention span, which made me think of something. I mean, imagine if Queen were to launch now. Queen that had these dynamic records that, the songs were masterpieces. And granted, yes, some of them still hold true and some of them have become cultural icons. But imagine if they tried to do that now.
Do you think people would even get all the way through Bohemian Rhapsody?
No.
It's too slow at the beginning, people would be like, next.
Uh-huh.
Goodbye.
Next.
I
You
don't
said
know.
you said goodbye, so bye-bye.
I know. Adios.
So,
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I think there is like would the algorithm, put Killer Queens on a playlist? Who knows? I don't know. I mean, I think it probably would. That song's awesome, but
if it's putting AI on it, AI artist, why not?
I hear that they're trying to put more safeguards into effect against just like sloppy AI stuff crowding the Spotify algorithm. But they might just be saying that to cover their ass. I don't really trust any of these people, to be honest. Sorry, Spotify.
I mean, I interviewed a person, and this was before the whole AI rush. This is about 2 years ago. I interviewed a person. She was sold to me by her press person that she could play all these instruments. Okay. So I start talking to her in this interview, and it turns out she considers herself an expert in all this music, all these instruments. She's using a keyboard the whole time.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, the interview
Like
never went to air.
guitar playing.
Yes, yes. I'm like, this does not make you that you can play these instruments. You're a
Dang,
keyboard
that is
player.
a distorted perception of reality right there. Gotta love it. Gotta respect that. That's
Yeah.
its own psychosis.
I mean, I was like, I remember finishing the interview and saying to one of my friends, I'm like, I can't air this. I can't. I can't.
Oh, that's difficult.
It is. But I mean that's the thing. It takes away and same thing with AI. While I appreciate some people can have a music career because of AI, are you really doing anything?
Yeah, I'm a songwriter. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing a bunch of random keywords in the chat GPT and putting whatever it spits out into a song.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Just
that a song? I think you're like a programmer, or there's got to be a new word, because even programmer sounds like you're doing a little work. Like
mhm.
you're just a prompter, right? You're prompting an AI algorithm. I don't know.
Well, even if I thought about this the other day when I went to my second radio station in New Orleans. The radio station, all I did was hit a button. So I'm on air and I'm talking. I hit a button, then the song would play. I wouldn't even get to choose what song was on the air. It
Oh,
was
no.
all computerized. And after a certain point, when I would leave for the week for that evening, there was nobody at the station at all. It was all computerized. So it was computerized, but was technically that not AI if it was running by itself?
Yeah, the line between like AI and automated algorithms and stuff, I'm not techie enough for that, maybe.
Mm-mm.
I do understand there is a distinction going on between those things.
But is there really a distinction, or are we led to
Yeah,
believe?
is the algorithm, quote algorithm, just AI? Is it all just, but like AI is also kind of a stupidly overreaching term, right? Everything's AI, like it's
Mhm.
not artificial intelligence. Like it's not artificial intelligence in like the movie sense, it's, but like, could it turn into that eventually? Is it, and then we will call it that? That's where it gets weird for me. Like, that's where it gets blurry.
Well, it's blurry, and the funny thing is, everybody's like, "Well, AI." Not everybody, but some people are like, "AI is so great. We're going to make this super intelligent computer that's smarter than humans." And my generation is sitting here going, "Hi, we saw War Games, and we watched Terminator." And I
I
mean,
know. I know. Did we learn nothing from Terminator?
did, did you
Terminator was created to help us, and here we are just ignoring the giant red flags.
exactly? And I mean, that's what's kind of funny. It's like when the dystopian movies, the Hunger Games and stuff came out, and then McDonald's was suddenly no longer the happy place. It was gray and black. And I looked at my husband and I'm like, so are they priming us for something for food shortages and everything? Oh, wait, where are we now?
Oh my god! Yeah, have you ever seen those big pictures where it's like McDonald's in 1985, McDonald's in 2025, and one just looks like a prison. The first one's got like the ball pit and like the goofy 80s colors and like Grimace the monster. And then like in 2025, it's just like, you will eat
Yeah.
here.
Well, I worked at 1985 1984 McDonald's, but I look at that and then I look at now, oh, we don't even have to go to the counter to order. We can order it on our phone. We don't have to even talk to anybody. We can
Oh
be
yeah, let's just
antisocial.
cut out that entire human interaction portion. I remember first seeing that. We were on tour actually in Lisbon and went to the city center late at night looking for food. And we're like, oh, there's McDonald's, and it was just a screen. This is years ago, and I was like, well, what the hell? And there's just like some weird security guard like standing by, and like all these drunk people, and like a screen where you order your hamburger, and I was just like. I was hoping to at least like try and drunkenly speak Portuguese to some person behind the counter right now, but I guess I'll just use this screen where I can hit like the UK flag, and now it's in English. It was weird. I guess that's just. I mean, I never eat McDonald's. I haven't been to a McDonald's in America in like over a decade. I
But
don't
here's
think
the thing. Well, McDonald's over there is different than McDonald's here for sure. But
it was. I think there was real. They actually used meat, which was good.
it's not the mystery meat that we all know. And I haven't eaten at McDonald's, I think, in like 6 years now. So
Yeah,
it's getting close to that. And it's like, I don't miss it. I really don't. But
yeah. Too much sugar and stuff. I mean, they just pump it full of sugar. It's just so weird. I don't even know.
all the preservatives. So what do you have more music after this EP comes out? Are you going to be working on more music next year? Or
Oh man, we've got at least 4 records that are pretty much done. 5, actually, more like 5. And so I record and write, and I get the band in here as much as possible too. I do a lot of it, the lion's share of the recording on my own, but we've got a ton of music that we're sitting on, and I'm talking to our record label right now about having another record come out in the spring just to keep things rocking, trying to clear out the archives. And I always record new material. Having a studio at my house is dangerous. I'm sitting in it right now. There's a bunch of
oh,
drums.
nice.
But yeah, so the next record might actually end up being a lot different than the ones that have come out this year. Might return to a more guitar indie rock oriented sound. And then there's another record that's more like, classic Tame Impala or psychedelic rock phaser guitars and 60s vibes that we were sitting on. And we've got a rock and roll one that's like more Hendrixy. We've got one that goes back to a more piano-y, like Todd Rundgren, Beach Boys thing. And they're all done. I mean, they're all like 40-minute records that are just kind of like, and I keep mixing them. I keep opening up the sessions, like, I can mix them a little better. But like at some point you have to be like, this is pretty much done, right? So but yeah, I think the jangly indie, yeah, and then we have one that's like got some covers on it. We actually cranked out some like REM and Replacements covers and these like kind of 80s-y songs just for fun. We thought we might do a record store day thing, and we didn't end up doing it, but to be prepared, I just cranked out some more fun covers. I don't know. There's like a lot of music hanging around. So it's just a matter of when we can put it out. And yeah, we'll keep recording and stuff. We actually might do some recording when we're in Europe because our guitarist who lives in Copenhagen has a little studio, and we've got a couple days before and after the tour. So yeah, our guitarist who's from Atlanta that I've known for 25 years, who now lives in Copenhagen, he's like a floating member. He's not in all the press photos, our buddy Steven, but he was a full-time member living in LA, and then he moved out there for work a couple years ago. But we just pick him up when we go there. We say, jump in.
Yeah.
It's time to rock.
So what cover, the timely cover to do of REM would be The End of the World as we know it.
Oh my God, yeah. But also Radio Free Europe.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
actually did a remix of that, and all of the profits went to the radio stations and public broadcasting that are being screwed by the administration right now and having their funding destroyed. So Michael Stipe, who's actually a badass. Have you ever seen the video or the article where they were like at like an awards thing or a concert and he was like near Trump and Trump was talking and he just told Trump to shut up?
No, but that's awesome.
That's real. That's yeah.
Nice.
I mean, Georgia has a couple cool people have come out of Georgia. So I don't know. Michael Stipe and the rest of the crew being some of them, I would say.
Well,
He seems to be pretty good about most things.
he's always been pretty well outspoken, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's some bands that's like REM and Michael Stipe. You're like, you guys rule. Like, you're always like standing up for the right stuff. And then there's some bands that like you think are really on the right side, and then they're not, and then you're like, damn it. But like, there's REM is always a good one for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that you know that you're not surprised by, and you're like, yeah, this doesn't surprise me at all that you are part of this regime or whatever you want to call it. It's just like,
Yeah, money has ruined you.
yeah, yeah. Do
Yeah.
you not see the bigger picture? And I think
Not
that,
pointing any names here, but there's some disappointing bands that I struggle to listen to nowadays. Even bands that I really love. I'm just like, God damn it, guys. Get it together. You got all
yeah,
these. It's worse when bands have records in the past that are very like human rights, good vibes, pro all the right stuff, and then they just kind of like stop, and you're like, well, you said all that stuff before. What the hell, Come
well,
on.
I mean, and a lot of, I mean, I hate to say it, I've said it before on the show that kind of the Republican way is I've got mine, fuck you.
Oh yeah, it's like, nah, we're fine. Like we figured out, we've hacked it. We've got all the money that we need. If we do anything weird, we could jeopardize that because we've probably like signed off on some weird bullshit, that like
Hmm.
it's in our contract at this, our life contract at this point, which is sad to me.
Well, I was
That's why
reading.
being a tiny indie band like us is great. I can say whatever I want.
I have found, but I've toned back a little bit because there's an episode I taped. I have still not aired it, and we kind of went hardcore. I was a college professor talking about the fearless leader, and I'm like I'm hesitant because I don't want somebody knocking on my door going, "Hi."
Oh, yeah, that's why I'm keeping it vague. I mean, we're
Yeah,
living an Orwellian nightmare, so it's good to like, be smart about that shit also. I mean, speak up, but also be smart, I don't know.
exactly.
Can't do any good if you're getting iced up or whatever the heck people are doing now.
Yeah, and I mean it's scary times we live in, and you know hopefully we'll make it through. That's the best thing I can hope for. And I mean, you going over to Europe, it's like, my question to you is, have you thought about, maybe going over to Europe and living there wouldn't be such a bad idea.
I've had opportunities that have arisen where I was, maybe in a relationship with someone in Europe or something like that, where I maybe could have moved there. And I don't know. I've always just really loved living in California. I mean, coming from Georgia, it's like I made it. I made it to
Yeah.
the promised land up here. But now it's, even California seems like under the grip of some unsavory nefarious shit going on in the house up there. And I don't know. Maybe I told my friend in Denmark, hey, if you hear about any jobs for a rock and roll producer, because I do produce bands and record bands, and that seems like a tough sell. But I think I'll probably end up going down with the ship here. But at the same time, every time I say something like, well, it's over, like someone pops out of the woodwork and it's like, I think this is the tipping point, and maybe things are about to even people on the right are like, "Yo, you just like destroyed one of the wings of the White House."
Yeah. Yeah.
We probably shouldn't do that. Like, what is happening? Like,
Well,
we signed up for this. I mean, also those people have also signed away their right to say anything. But people are saying stuff, so I don't know.
well, it's the whole thing. People are like, he did this with no permits and everything because he had a poopy diaper because of the um protest.
Oh yeah. Well, there's also I love the someone posted Tim Heidecker reshared. He was a great comedian. He reshares some stuff right now, and then it was a Washington Post video of the cranes just destroying the wing, and him at the pulpit saying, it's not even going to affect the building. It's going to be near it, but it's going to be totally preserved. And then, like, juxtaposed with just like bulldozers. It's like, yo, like you just said stuff. That's not even real. That's all made up.
But that's who he is.
We're having fun, just.
Well, and then I hadn't watched South Park in years, and South Park now is
And now it's like it was like on the official like their official website being like, this show sucks. It's like, that's just gonna get more people to watch it. Like, they were just like, and our plan worked.
and I love the nuance of he's fucking Satan.
Yeah, I mean, apparently that's a recurring character in a lot of their political moments, which is pretty funny,
But it's just,
I mean, you gotta have satire, and like, I mean, I hate it. It sucks, and people are like, "Well, at least we'll have funny art and punk rock again." I was like, "Fuck that!" I wish we didn't have to have any of that shit. But all right, here we are.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing for him to complain about satire and how many presidents have gone through being ridiculed over and yeah. So I mean, for
political cartoons since like they crossed the Delaware River. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, my late husband's grandfather actually used to do political cartoons, and I have a couple from back in the 30s, the 20s and 30s that he did. And I mean, it's like
the wild ass ones back then.
Yeah. And so it's like, why are you suddenly, the little baby that can't handle anything?
Yeah, I don't know. Seems weird. It's all weird. It's all I hate to say unprecedented, because I just feel like that's just like the hot button word of our age, but it is unprecedented, so I'll say it. Yeah.
Yes. So
everything's unprecedented.
Can we make him unprecedented?
Hey, that's pretty good. I did see an article recently. It's like some things are precedented. Like some things have precedence.
Yes.
Yeah, we're there. We have to figure out which ones though, because it's hard now.
It's very hard. So let's talk about Pendulum for a second. So that's a very Pendulum compared to the song, I believe, Connection. It's like they're two very different songs. One is very mellow and laid back, and I don't want to say pass the joint, bud, but it kind of has that whole laid back feel. And the other one is a little bit more dancey, a little bit more, I don't want to say dancey, but 60s vibe dancing. And how do you decide that I'm going to go this direction, and then I'm going to go this direction? And then listening to what you were saying about your future records, do you just have this whole cavalcade of inspiration from that time that you dig into?
Yeah, I mean, my list of inspiring, pieces of music is endless. So I think that also helps for keeping keeping the garden growing, and keeping, fresh things growing in it. And I think like those two songs, it's interesting because they're both like love songs, but they're love songs like in different states of mind. I feel like Connection's more like that, like kind of krautrock driving motoric beat, which is like, I don't know, it's almost more of like a acid rock thing, and like the lyrics are like, about kind of like spending an evening with someone, but like maybe in that state of mind, maybe kind of out of your head, like running around, being silly, enjoying it. And I think Pendulum might just be more of like, yeah, past the joint thing, like kind of a similar thing. Like it's like a romantic song, but it's a little bit more groovy and a little bit more, maybe a little bit more mature in its like delivery of the romance or something. But yeah, I would say, yeah, Pendulum is definitely based on some of those like 60s sort of clavichord, harpsichord pop stuff, like Left Bank, or I don't know, even some like Beatlesy stuff, I want you, she's so heavy or something. And then like Connections, definitely more of that like late 60s, like Past the Summer of Love, like tough rock psychedelia. And yeah, again, those are just different things that I like. I like all that music. So it's like I like transmitting those different vibes into the Triptides catalog because I think that it's important to show people the different vibes that are going on up here in the old noggin. Because I don't know, I think they're both cool in their own way, and but I do think Connection. I think that at some point I was listening to the record that was becoming Shapeshifter, and I thought this record's groovy as hell, but it needs one song to kind of like. We can throw it in the live set and get people, moshing or whatever, because I don't want people to get too sleepy. So it's
Right.
like we threw that one in there. Whereas Pendulum was written kind of totally separately, and then it just ended up on the Night Shift EP because it was like, oh, this song's groovy as hell. It's a good like pop boiler like opener for the record, So, and I think people are really enjoying that one, which makes me happy because I really enjoy it. I'm really really happy with the way Pendulum came out. I think it might be one of the better things that we've made, or kind of like a good signal of our current evolution.
What I know you play drums. You mentioned that. When you started getting into music, what was your did you have an instrument? Was the drums the instrument you started on, or were there other
Oh, it was
instruments?
piano. I was like one of those kids where their parents were like, you gotta learn piano. Like my dad played classical piano, and he practiced and studied through college, or like a little bit before, I think, and then he stopped. So he could kind of remember some like Rachmaninoff or Beethoven and play like the first couple bars at like, we had friends over. And that was about it. But he was always just like, you guys have to play piano. My brother, my sister, younger sister, older brother, and I. He let them quit because they just kind of weren't into it. But he saw musical potential in me, apparently. So he's like, you can't quit. And I was like, God damn it. So it just turned into me taking piano. My brother got to play the guitar, which I was super jealous of because I was getting into like Led Zeppelin at the time, like 14 years old. So I would steal his guitar till I could play Stairway to Heaven. And then I showed my parents that I could play Stairway to Heaven. And they're like, God damn it, we'll go to Costco and get it like the cheapest guitar. And that's how I started playing guitar. And then someone left a drum set at my house because I formed a little band, as soon as possible in, middle school, junior high school. And the drummer just left his drums at our house. And I would play them before my parents got home in the afternoon because they didn't want to hear it. But then one day I was playing the drums and they got home and we were like eating dinner. And my dad was like, Glenn can play the drums all right. And I was like, hell yeah, you've gone from there will never be a drum set in this house to Glenn's okay.
Nice.
Anyway, so that's kind of how all that started, but it's nice. I like that I had the keyboards as my bass instrument because I do think that offers a good way of understanding the other instruments too, which is, so I do appreciate being, put into the piano lessons as a child.
So you're kind of one-man band then. I mean, you could actually be a one-man band if you needed to be.
I could be a one-man band if I needed to be, but I do love playing with the guys that I play with right now. Our drummer Craig and our bass player Tyler are just excellent dudes and really good musicians, and they play in a bunch of bands. They're like the busiest guys I know, but they're like session guys. They just come in and knock it out, and they're also hilarious and fun to hang with. So it's a good combo. I only play music with people I like now.
Well, and that makes it a lot easier. That
Yeah.
makes it so much easier.
I'm too old to like get in a band with people. I'm like, this guy.
Yeah, I interviewed a guy not too long ago, and he was talking about that sometimes him and his brother were in a band together, and inadvertently, somehow after a gig, they'd end up in fisticuffs in the back.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean that's like classic like replacement shit right there. But
Yeah.
I just you have to get like too drunk to do that stuff.
Yeah.
I just feel like but I don't want to be in a group with anyone that has substance issues. No offense to those people that have substance issues. It's just too much for me as like a business leader, band leader, like liabilities stuff, like I just can't. I don't know, if you get too drunk and start messing things up, it's a bad look for the band, and it's a bad vibe for the band. That's for sure.
I mean, when somebody's too screwed up, I mean, they think they're playing really good, but a lot of the times they're not.
Oh man, I've been lucky to never actually have anyone in Triptides, and we've had many members. I think we've had 11 drummers. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of them have been like too messed up to play a show. You know, I think honestly, I'm at this point, I'm probably the like kind of the most messed up to play it. I mean, you know, a couple drinks or whatever,
Yeah.
but like, most of the people I play with, they're pretty like. I mean, they have fun and they'll have, you know, party when it's appropriate, but they're in it for the rock and to make it sound as good as possible, and they're very particular about that. And I think that's really great in a world where people join bands just to like, you know, get messed up and like try and hit on girls or whatever. Like, I'm lucky to have people that are joining my band to play music and really respect the artistic creation we're making as a unit, which is special and more important than any of that other stuff, which, you know, you grow out of that stuff, but you don't. Music is like a lifetime love, I think.
Well, and a lot of people join bands because they think they're going to have fame, fortune, chicks,
Oh
drugs,
yeah.
and the fact is, I don't know that I don't know that people hold that dream so much anymore, because before it was like this holy grail, and now it's like your chance of making that is even further away, because now you can put your own music out on Spotify. Hope you get a big deal, because a record label's not really going to look at you. A major label isn't going to really look at you unless you have that social media presence. It's the
Yeah.
same thing in writing and everything else. And it's like, well, you know, I'm going to be me.
We're past the point of like Oasis or like major labels just like plucking people out of a
Yeah.
bar and saying you're going to be the next person on the Rolling Stone, you know.
Yeah.
But in some ways that's kind of liberating though, because I have played with folks that like seemingly joined the group thinking we're going to make it and play on like, you know, late night shows and, you know, go on Jimmy Fallon or whatever. And it's like when that didn't happen, they were like all bummed out. And I'm like, yo, like that doesn't really happen that much anymore. Do I look like Sabrina Carpenter? God damn, I'm just like a goofy long haired dude that plays music. Like, we're you gotta temper your expectations. But I also feel like a lot of those people kind of quit during COVID too. Like COVID happened, they're like, oh, we can't like play, and like we'll just do something else, you know. Like they were just kind of doing it because they felt like this could be like a fun little diversion, or maybe we'll make it or whatever. And then they didn't really care that much about the music, and a lot of those bands kind of just ended and just
It's
where'd they go?
but it's the same thing with podcasting. I mean, they said if you can go more than 10 episodes with a podcast, then you really want to do it. And a lot of podcasters will stop at recording 6 episodes and that's it. I'm at 200 and something, so I've passed that one. But
Oh, congrats. That's
thank
awesome.
you. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you have to be passionate about it. You can't just go, well, it'll be okay. I'm just going to do this because everything's going to open doors. It's all going to be magical. No, you do what you do because you love it. And that's the same. You have to be that way about music.
I
And
think
I appreciate that.
yeah, I think it's important. Yeah, someone's probably like, oh, it's probably this, in music, it's probably like, oh, you need to write at least 10 songs or something. Like, if you just write a couple songs and then you give up, it's like, okay, you were just dabbling in it. You weren't really committing to it. So you could have maybe unlocked something inside you after you had written more songs that would have been really cool, but you kind of just like, it's not for me. And that's totally fine. Obviously, like if people don't want to do podcasts, they don't want to play music,
Right.
like I don't care. That's great. We need people to do other stuff. That's how humanity works.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. So it's totally cool. Like I'm happy that people do other stuff because I get to do this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel, you know. But I don't know. It takes a village to make our, you know, world go around in the right way or the wrong way, but either way, it's going round.
We have too many villages, maybe sometimes, but you know.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I mean, that also makes us grow as people because we have people that we have to try to, we all don't see the world the same way. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a little over the too much, but it keeps us
Yeah.
on our toes.
There's a
Is,
spectrum of seeing the world the good and or different way, I suppose.
yeah. Yeah.
And
So is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like to discuss?
I mean, we talked about the Euro tour, talked about upcoming US tours. We've got a brand new music video that just dropped like right now for Spooky. Our good friend Andrew Collenbeck put it like hand drew it, hand animated it, handmade this
Nice.
awesome like groovy video. He's in a great band called the Melons out of Salt Lake City that I have collaborated with. I played some like 12-string jangly birds guitar on their last 45, and I'm actually helping produce some of their new LP. But they're a great band. Shout out to the Melons. Love those guys. And I just finished recording a great new EP with Levitation Room, another great band out of Los Angeles. And they came up to my studio and it started a let's cut some songs and see what happens, and then we ended up cutting 5 tracks, which I think are some of their best work yet. So it's fantastic, the Levitation Room EP. So I think we're all really excited about that. So I think that's coming out really soon too. I think it's gonna be a streaming thing. So keep an eye out for that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I
just a
thank
little
you.
couple plugs there for you.
No, that's fine. That's totally fine. I thank you, Glenn, for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Sorry I was a little late, and I appreciate you spending, a little extra time out of your day to chat.
No problem.
All right, Don.
So, Triptides, I would say check it out because there's definitely a different feel to it. It sends you back to a different time. And that's actually kind of a good thing because it's like it lets you escape into a different world, if per se. So, I think right now we need that. And I know we did get a little political, and, I'm sorry if you don't agree with politics, and we should not be able to say that. But as somebody pointed out the other day, how did they put it? If a plumber can have an opinion and anybody on the internet can have an opinion, what is wrong with somebody that is a celebrity? And we're not saying Glenn's a celebrity. We're not saying I'm a celebrity. But what is wrong with having an opinion? It's not the first time that I've had an opinion on this show. And if you've followed me, you know that. Um, because I've talked to people about politics straight up. So if you're offended, I'm not going to apologize. I am I am who I am, and that's it. And I think what's going on in the world is a little screwed up. So I don't think anybody needs to suffer. I don't think we need to have, I got mine, fuck you. I think we all need to come together and we all need to work together. And when you think about going back to Glenn's music for a second, the 60s was that time. The 60s was that time where there was unrest and conflict and we were trying to make changes. And rights, people got rights. People ended up moving forward and we got ourselves into a war that we shouldn't have. And right now we're kind of going that way. Hopefully by the time this airs, because it'll air in December and I'm taping this at the end of October, we won't have been in the war. But as of today, somebody's trying to get us in one. And we don't need to be in one. But, hey, here we are. But definitely check out Triptides and embrace the music when you can because it'll allow you to escape. It's a different feel. I've had many a different music guest on. And Glenn, he's kind of fun. And I hope you guys enjoyed the interview just as much as I did. So I have to wrap this up quickly because I have to be somewhere. And normally I wouldn't do that. And I'm not going to put that in there. So whenever you're listening, morning, noon, or night, I really do appreciate you. I appreciate Fast Susie for the intro and outro, and I appreciate Glenn for coming on. And I thank you guys for tuning in and listening. I really do mean that. And well, I'll catch you next time, guys. Bye.